Picture this. You finally get that promotion you've been working toward for years. More money, more respect, more opportunities. But 3 months later, you're lying in bed at 2 a.m., scrolling through your phone, feeling empty. Why does getting everything we want sometimes feel like we've lost something important? Today, we're going to explore one of the most surprising discoveries in psychology, that having more can actually make us feel less happy, less satisfied, and less free. This isn't just philosophical talk, this is science, backed by decades of research into how our brains work. We're going to uncover the hidden traps that successful people fall into, the psychological tricks our minds play on us, and most importantly, how to escape the cycle of never enough that keeps so many of us running on a treadmill that goes nowhere. Section 1. The Mind's Trick on Success. Let's start with something that might blow your mind. Scientists have a name for what happens when we get what we want: the hedonic treadmill. Imagine you're walking on a treadmill. You're moving, you're working hard, you're sweating, but you're not actually going anywhere. That's exactly what happens with happiness and success. When you get a raise, buy a new car, or move to a bigger house, you feel amazing for a while. But then something strange happens. You adapt. That new car becomes just your car. That bigger house becomes just home. And suddenly you need the next thing to feel excited again. This isn't a character flaw or a sign of being ungrateful. It's how every human brain works. But here's where it gets really interesting and a little scary. The more we have, the more we have to compare ourselves to. Think about social media for a second. When you had less, you compared yourself to your neighbors. Now, with one scroll through Instagram, you're comparing yourself to millionaires, supermodels, and people living their absolute best moments. It's like being in a race where the finish line keeps moving further away every time you get close to it. Scientists call this the comparison trap, and it's one of the biggest reasons why people in wealthy countries aren't necessarily happier than people in poorer countries. More stuff means more people to envy. But wait, there's more, and I don't mean that in a good way. Having more choices should make us happier, right? Wrong. Psychologists discovered something called the paradox of choice. When you have 3 breakfast cereals to choose from, picking one is easy. When you have 50 options, suddenly choosing breakfast becomes a mental workout that leaves you wondering if you picked the wrong one. This applies to everything: dating apps with endless potential partners, streaming services with thousands of movies, career paths with infinite possibilities. More options don't equal more freedom. They equal more anxiety about making the wrong choice. And here's the kicker. Even when we make a good choice, we're less satisfied with it because we're always wondering about all those other options we didn't pick. Section 2. The Success Addiction. Now let's talk about something that sounds positive but can be really dangerous: achievement addiction. Just like any addiction, success addiction starts innocently. You achieve something, it feels good, so you want to achieve more. The problem is, just like with drugs or alcohol, you need bigger and bigger doses to get the same high. One promotion isn't enough. You need the corner office. The corner office isn't enough. You need to be the youngest person ever promoted to your level. And on it goes. I know someone who built a multi-million-dollar business, the kind of success most people dream about. But instead of celebrating, he immediately started worrying that his success was temporary, that he wasn't growing fast enough, that his competitors might catch up. Success had become his drug. And like any drug, it stopped making him happy and started making him anxious. This connects to something psychologists call the overjustification effect. It's a fancy name for a simple but devastating idea. When you start getting external rewards for something you used to love doing, you can actually lose your natural passion for it. Think about a kid who loves drawing. Give that kid money for every picture, and suddenly drawing becomes work. Take away the money, and the kid might stop drawing altogether. The external reward killed the internal joy. This happens to adults all the time. You love writing, so you become a professional writer. You love cooking, so you open a restaurant. You love helping people, so you become a therapist. But somewhere along the way, the passion gets buried under performance reviews, profit margins, and the pressure to do more, better, faster. And here's something that will really surprise you. The people who are most successful are often the most vulnerable to complete burnout. Why? Because successful people are usually high achievers, perfectionists, people who can't say no to opportunities. They're the ones most likely to keep pushing themselves until they hit a wall. It's like being really good at lifting weights, so you keep adding more weight until your muscles give out completely. Success becomes its own trap. But here's where things get really interesting. Some of the happiest, most fulfilled people I know have learned to see less is more. Section 3, The Art of Enough. Let me tell you about a concept that might change how you think about everything. The enough mindset. Instead of asking, how can I get more? People with an enough mindset ask, what do I actually need to be happy? It's not about settling for less. It's about figuring out what enough looks like for you. Think about your phone for a second. How many features do you actually use? I'm betting it's way fewer than the hundreds of features available. The same principle applies to everything in life. Most of our happiness comes from a small percentage of our possessions, activities, and relationships. Psychologists call this the 80-20 rule of happiness. So instead of trying to optimize everything, what if we focused on optimizing the 20% that actually matters? I know a woman who was working 80 hours a week at a high-paying job she hated. She had a beautiful house, a luxury car, and a closet full of designer clothes. She also had anxiety, insomnia, and no time for the people she loved. One day, she did something radical. She quit her job, sold her house, bought a smaller place, and started a small business doing something she actually enjoyed. Her income dropped by 60%. Her happiness increased by about 200%. She discovered something powerful. Constraints can actually increase creativity and satisfaction. When you have unlimited options, you can get paralyzed trying to choose. When you have clear limits, you get creative within those boundaries. It's why some of the best art comes from artists who had very little money. Why some of the most innovative companies started in garages. Why some of the happiest people live very simple lives. This doesn't mean you should throw away all your possessions and move to a cave. It means getting intentional about what you say yes to, which automatically determines what you say no to. Every yes is a no to something else. Everything you own owns a little piece of your attention. Every commitment you make is a commitment you can't make to something else. The most successful people I know aren't the ones who do everything. They're the ones who do a few things really well and ignore everything else. They've learned the art of strategic saying no, which might be the most important skill you can develop in a world full of infinite options. Section 4. Digital age overload. Now let's talk about something that's making the more is less problem worse than ever before. Our digital world. We live in the first time in human history where we have access to literally everything. Every movie ever made, every song ever recorded, every person on the planet through social media, every piece of information ever written. Sounds amazing, right? So why do so many of us feel more anxious, more distracted, and more overwhelmed than ever? It's because our brains weren't designed for infinite choice. They were designed for small tribes, limited options, and clear priorities. Now we're trying to run ancient software on modern hardware, and it's causing some serious glitches. Let me give you a perfect example. FOMO, or fear of missing out. Every time you check Instagram, you're seeing hundreds of people living their best lives. Beach vacations, fancy dinners, career achievements, perfect relationships. Your brain sees all of this and thinks, I could be doing that too. I should be doing that too. Why am I not doing that too? It's like being at the world's biggest buffet where you can see every delicious option, but you can only fill one plate. Instead of enjoying what you chose, you spend the whole meal thinking about everything you didn't get. This creates something psychologists call attention residue. Every notification, every app switch, every quick check of social media leaves a little piece of your attention behind. You're physically present in your life, but mentally you're scattered across dozens of digital spaces. It's like trying to have a conversation while someone keeps tapping you on the shoulder. And here's the really scary part. We're becoming addicted to the problem. Social media companies literally hire neuroscientists to make their apps more addictive. Every like, every comment, every new message gives your brain a little hit of dopamine. But just like any addiction, you need more and more to get the same feeling. One like isn't enough. You need 10. 10 isn't enough. You need 100. And suddenly your self-worth is tied to numbers on a screen controlled by an algorithm designed to keep you scrolling. I know people who check their phones over 200 times a day. That's once every 5 minutes during waking hours. Imagine if someone interrupted you every 5 minutes in real life. You'd think they were crazy, but we do it to ourselves voluntarily. This constant connectivity doesn't just affect our attention, it affects our ability to be present, to think deeply, to have real conversations, to sit quietly with our own thoughts. When was the last time you sat somewhere for 5 minutes without checking your phone? When was the last time you had a conversation without someone looking at their screen? When was the last time you felt completely focused on one thing? But here's the good news. Some of the most successful and happy people I know have learned the art of digital minimalism. They don't try to keep up with everything. They choose a few digital tools that actually add value to their lives and ignore the rest. They have specific times for checking messages and social media instead of being always available. They've learned that being connected to everything means being present for nothing. It's not about becoming a digital hermit. It's about being intentional with your attention. Because in a world full of infinite distractions, your focus becomes your most valuable resource. Our brains are wired to always want more, but getting more doesn't automatically make us happier. Success can become addictive. Choice can become overwhelming. And sometimes the best thing we can do is learn to recognize when we have enough. The question isn't, how can I get more? The question is, what do I actually need to feel fulfilled? I want you to try something this week. Pick one area of your life where you have too much. Too many clothes, too many apps on your phone, too many commitments on your calendar, and intentionally reduce it. See how it feels. Then come back and tell me about it in the comments. Did having less make you feel more free? More focused? More grateful for what remained? If this video helped you see success differently, hit that subscribe button. Next week, we're diving into how to find meaning when you feel like you have everything but nothing feels important. Remember, in a world that's constantly telling you that you need more, choosing enough might be the most radical thing you can do.